Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about a very awesome mod for Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires that can really enrich your campaign experience, especially if you're a veteran player. See, this is what mods excel at. They take a campaign experience and they just make it more interesting. That's where mods can end up winning. So the mod is made by a Chinese modder, I believe, and it's called Confederate You Can Get. I'll link it in the description below because it did take me a bit to find it. It was recommended to me by someone in my previous video in the comments, and I checked it out, and it's awesome. So what this does is it gives you the campaign mechanics of a faction that you confederate. It won't give you the campaign effects, but it will give you their special campaign mechanics. So for instance, if I use console command over here, and this can probably work very well if you're using console command to do the following thing. So you use console command and you use confederate mechanic, the confederate line. So this can allow you to confederate another legendary lord on turn 1. And what you can see over here is I've gotten the living ancestor mechanic over here from Grumbrindle. It will take 6 turns to kick in over here, so it won't kick in as quickly as it would in Grumbrindle's campaign, because Grumbrindle's campaign it does kick in very, very quickly, but I do now have access to this mechanic, and this is genuinely awesome. It's awesome because it gives you access to all kinds of great mechanics that can be exclusive to one legendary lord or another. So you no longer have to play a specific campaign to really have a great mechanic. And this can make certain campaigns that can feel underwhelming far better. Or it can help fix certain campaign situations where a legendary lord might have a very limited starting position or a very annoying one, but you can play another legendary lord, use the confederate command, and get access to their mechanics. Or just confederate them normally through diplomacy, or through, say, dwarf mechanics with the grudges. This is great for campaign variety, because even in campaigns like the dwarves, where you can guarantee confederation, you're kind of always irritated by the fact that, it takes a decent amount of time to, get the confederation going through grudges. And even then, you end up in a situation where certain legendary lords just are much better to confederate than others. And also with dwarves in particular, Malachi's campaign is the best campaign because he has access to those adventures. Well, you can now get access to these adventures in every single dwarf campaign. I'd probably recommend doing it with Ungrim. You won't get the faction effects here, so you won't start with Gotrek and Felix. You won't get the recruit rank or upkeep for artillery and war machine units, but you do have these adventures with all the bells and whistles that come associated with that, and that is freaking awesome. So let me go over a couple of campaigns I believe could really benefit from this particular mod in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empire. So at number 5, we have Scrag the Slaughterer together with Maneater. So you will get access to Maneater's Mercenary Contracts mechanic, which gives you our campaign a more dynamic, objective sense, really. So for instance, over here, I defeated an army of Northern, gonna get a peace agreement with these guys right here, get a lot of freaking money that is going to be quite ridiculous, and instead I'm going to accept the Scabby Eye contract, because Maneater's contracts are based on proximity. Sadly enough, you don't get the teleportation with Maneater, so you won't have the ability of just, zipping around the map over there. That is one of the limitations over here with regards to this mod. And you are going to have limited diplomacy if you decide to go down this path. But the benefit of doing so is you get the Prophet of the Maw mechanic for Maneater while playing with both Scrag and Maneater's mechanics. So you get mercenary contracts from Maneater, you get Prophet of the Maw from Goldfags, and that makes for a fairly damn interesting campaign, because Prophet of the Maw is incredibly freaking powerful as a mechanic, and mercenary contracts do make a campaign quite a bit more interesting, though in this case, I guess without the teleportation available over there, I will not be able to really make it work, unfortunately, over here. Just how it goes, sadly enough, with regards to Man-Eater's situation. Not a perfect thing by any stretch of imagination, and I know ogres do have... Well, actually, okay, that is interesting. So we can actually teleport, but we can't teleport with Scrag. Well, I guess that does make sense, because the teleportation is tied to a faction leader. So yeah, you can still teleport. You can teleport with Scrag. Holy shit, this is gonna be something else, isn't it? Holy moly. But yeah, you can really have an insane campaign with all of this put together. And really, with regards to Man-Eater himself, maybe you can use the teleportation command as well. Like if you just want to get him in on the action, just make sure you use the teleport command over here to get him in on the action if you want to do so. Ooh, this is juicy. Ooh, holy shit. Scrag teleportation. I mean, Man-Eater teleportation was one thing. Scrag teleportation is a whole different freaking universe of things available to you in your campaign. It only requires 320 to get this contract complete, and then I'll turn my ire against the Scabby Eye and sell them out to Barakvar. No alliances, but ogres, you know, it's very fitting for ogres to not have alliances, I gotta say. Like, it just makes a lot of freaking sense for ogres to not be limited by that entire mechanic, I would dare say. So yeah, you might have to use the teleportation command to get Man-Eater to the action, but it does work and can be freaking damn awesome. Crazy awesome over here. Though, also a good sense of bullshit. Just, look, to be clear, doing this will break campaigns, because campaigns are not designed, the balance of the Immortal Empires map is clearly not designed around you having two faction mechanics at the same time, but damn, isn't it just freaking fun. And number 4, it would be Grimgor Ironhide together with Grom the Punch. See, Grom the Punch's unique campaign mechanic, his cooking ability, is a pretty awesome mechanic, all things considered. Could be a bit buggy sometimes, but it does give you some really, really nice faction abilities or unit abilities over here that do make things quite a bit more interesting. Certainly pushes that variety far more so than the plan ever does for Gorbad. The problem in Grom's campaign is because he's so far away from other greenskins, his campaign can end up feeling very, very one-note, whereas Grimgor, oof, he has potential. I'd probably recommend, if you're doing something like this, by the way, that you get the climate penalty removal, and also there's another mod that removes the Confederation penalty, so you don't instantly get the Rebellion. But you will be able to get a good amount of campaign variety over here with Grom's campaign. You can focus with Grom on conquering Bretonnia, and then focus on going into Ulfheim, while also playing Grimgor's awesome campaign where he has Kolek, where he has Tamarkan to deal with, Zarnigarun to deal with. And you can do both of these things at the same freaking time. And that can make for a hell of a campaign experience, I would dare say. But yeah, the cooking mechanic for Grom is just awesome. His campaign, however, not so much. But pair him together with a much better Legendary Lord with the starting position, and you get an awesome campaign. Or really just play Grom's campaign and get Confederate Grimgor. But then again, Grimgor's faction mechanics, like the thing about Grom, his faction mechanics are obviously just cooking, right? His faction effects. Whereas Grimgor's faction effects, ooh, Black Orc Big Boss is recruited in every single province, including Grom's province. Well, I'd say the meat is back on the menu, boys, over here. Like, yeah, Grom's campaign ended up falling behind quite significantly, especially with the release of Omens of Destruction, but I would dare say it's back on the menu if you use this kind of mod. Yeah, play 2 campaigns instead of 1. Why just play 1 Legendary Lord? Why not go to play 3 Legendary Lords? Like, you can do all these things at the same time. Like, let's say, you know, we also get Warzag over here. Or we could get, I don't know, Scarsnake maybe. You know, just play that campaign. Confederate Scarsnake and unleash the Goblet Tide over here with them. Not sure it would give you stock on a faction-wide level, though, if you Confederate. So not all campaign mechanics are gonna work with this. Would be pretty ridiculous if you could get both Rom's Cooking Cauldron and Scarsnake stock mechanic. Maybe that is the play, really. Like, you could place a campaign as Scarsnake and Confederate Grom turn 1, get the cooking mechanic, and get stock for all armies. Jeez, that would be freaking ridiculous. And awesome at the same time. And just freaking awesome, because Grom per Scarsnake equals, just, yeah, insanity. Or maybe get Grimoire, really, even if you don't necessarily get stock. I mean, Scarsnake is always going to have it, but I do wonder how it does work with Caracade Peaks. Guess we're going to find out. Guess we're certainly going to find out with regards to that. At number 3, we have Queek Headtaker. Pretty solid campaign, pretty good starting position over here, but obviously just generic campaign mechanics. But then we pair him up with Ikeclaw, and we start giving him nuclear weapons and the Skaven Forbidden Workshop, which makes for a far more entertaining campaign for both of them, really. See, the problem in Ikeclaw's campaign is that his starting position is pretty damn miserable to deal with, so it makes the campaign far less interesting to play. Great Legendary Lord, great mechanics, great race, just full starting position and terrain design. But compare these two, and you end up with a ridiculously awesome campaign. And really, starting with Skaven Blight is just great in of itself, really. Though we can abandon, of course, Skaven Blight over here on turn 1. Though, sadly enough, we don't have Ikeclaw's unique structure over there, so that is going to be a problem. It won't work 100%, but it can work decently well anyway. And that's kind of the important over here. You won't be able to upgrade the lab fully, but you will be able to get some of these benefits over here, or a lot, or pretty much all of the benefits. You just won't be able to get all of the kind of lab upgrades over there to unlock everything. Well, not necessarily to unlock everything. You just won't be able to get all the lab upgrades and the money that those lab upgrades do provide, but you do have all of these things unlocked from the beginning of the campaign. So yeah, you're missing out the special structure with regards to that and the upgrade of the lab. But then we can also go even further and also Confederate Fraton Clean and get his. Yes, the insanity here is gonna be biblical. So Ikeclaw's Forbidden Workshop put together with Fraud's unique unit customized. It is gonna be freaking nuts in every single respect, because, well, you see about these, you see the thing is, these units, like, they can double dip, so they can be, they can be upgraded faction-wide for the Forbidden Workshop, and then they can be upgraded further individually through Fraud's own lab mechanic. That leads to a freaking awesome situation, I'm not gonna lie. Ridiculously awesome situation to actually have to deal with in a campaign right here, making things that much more interesting and fun. How exactly you'd play a campaign like this where you have 3 legendary lords, that's really gonna be up to you. I would dare say it kind of does depend based on a lot of different things. So I can't really say how you would handle this appropriately, but all I can say is it would be freaking awesome. But the reliance here is on Queek's starting position and all the benefits that come with that starting position, but also the unique mechanics from Ikeclaw and Fraud, or Ikeclaw or Fraud. And you can even add Eshin, Ikeclaw. Jeez, this is like insanity. I'm not sure I could manage 4 legendary lords, but you never know. You never freaking know what you can do and can't do in a campaign. But yeah, this is pure freaking insanity of the highest possible degree if you go down this path. I guess you could just play as Snitch in your campaign, though keep in mind you do have to deal with that extra recruitment cost of non-Eshin units. So that is a downside, though you can recruit assassins at tier 1, so that is an upside. Pros and cons, right? But yeah, the combination of Quicks, very interesting starting position with these mechanics. Makes for a heck of a campaign, I gotta tell you. And number 2, we have Malachi McCason together with Grumbrindle. So I was a bit wrong. Yes, the timer did show up 6 turns when I initially confederated Grumbrindle in this campaign, but it actually does trigger properly on turn 2. The benefit here is you can get a good amount of casualty replenishment for Grumbrindle's army, so focusing on certain things over here with Grumbrindle. But one of the crucial things that you don't have to do is beat up Malekith. So that is a nice advantage over there. So if you want to play the diplomacy and forgive Malekith, that's up to you. And then you have all the advantages that come in Grumbrindle's campaign. Besides, if you're playing Grumbrindle's campaign, you want to if you're playing Malachi's campaign, you do want to confederate Grumbrindle anyway. You could also play any other dwarf campaign and confederate Malachi fairly quickly to get access to his adventures. Like you could play a Belegar campaign, for instance, and get all the benefits that come with Caracade Peaks. From what I've seen personally so far, the whole Caracade Peaks aspect doesn't seem to be added in. Pros and cons with regards to that, right? But there might be an argument to be made with regards to that. Hold on. With regards to that entire situation. So let's say, you know, if I confederate Belegar over here, right, and then I give myself Caracade Peaks, then I won't get the benefits that Belegar gets. So I think that is a bit of a shame with regards to all of this, but you could always play a Belegar campaign and get Malachi's unique mechanic and Grumbrindle's unique mechanic. Maybe make your campaign a heck of a lot more interesting than it was before. The one reason I would recommend playing as Malachi, though, is it's the only campaign where you start with Gotrek and Felix. So if you confederate Malachi without Gotrek and Felix, it won't be as good necessarily. Although, to be fair, you can get the Dragon Slayer for the sake of replenishment, you can get a Fane for the sake of training, so you don't need necessarily Gotrek and Felix for Malachi. But I do think Malachi's campaign is still the best dwarf campaign to make this work, but hey, you could always play as Belegar and confederate Malachi and Grumbrindle very quickly and try making that work with plus 50% upkeep. Yeah, that's not especially great. But Belegar certainly needs a campaign update in that regards. But there are plenty of options that are available to dwarves, but really Grumbrindle and Malachi are the really good combination. Because Grumbrindle gives so many faction effects with his blue skill line, it's absolutely freaking absurd. Malachi gets a lot of really awesome stuff with the adventures he has. Like, those adventures are just great. And I would probably argue, like, Ungrim would be a good choice as well to play as in Confederate Grumbrindle and Malachi, because Ungrim has the climate. Ungrim has frozen, and that is a really solid benefit in a Malachi campaign or a Grumbrindle campaign, or if you have Malachi and Grumbrindle. Or you could just use a climate mod, so you're eliminating the penalties over there. But it does work. Dwarves are awesome. This makes them even more awesome. And finally, at number 1, we have Emperor Karl Franz, together with Elspeth and Balthazar Gelt. You know how Balthazar Gelt, Elspeth, and Karl Franz are each powerful Legendary Lords with really unique and interesting campaign mechanics? How about all 3 of them at the same time? The Gunnery School actually works fully properly over here, unlike, say, for instance, AK Claw's Lab. I guess it has to do with the requirements of having to get the Amethyst armor, requiring you to do the tier 2 workshop. That's the reason they made it work. Also because it's more recent. So, like, Elfarian's campaign mechanic doesn't work if you try and confederate that. But, yeah, this is crazy. Which one you choose to use, that is a different discussion, I'd say, altogether. Like, you could play a Gel campaign and then, confederate Karl Franz and get access to electoral machinations if you want to. For instance, you could play an Elspeth campaign and get access to Gelt. Like, you get access to the Colleges of Magic, so you can spam mages in a campaign over and over and over and over again. Like, that is really crazy, ridiculously good. You can get access to the wonderful gunpowder units that Elspeth does have, and Carl's unique empire management mechanics. I would probably recommend playing Karl Franz as the Ledgering Lord, because I think he works best with his, own mechanics. But there is the downside that in order to unlock their Electrocount troops, you do actually need to confederate the other ones regularly. Though, to be fair, the only Electrocount troop that actually is worth it, or the only ones that are really, really worth it, are actually the Eldred's Guards and, yeah, the Steam Tank over here. Well, also the Mortars from Taliban, but that's easy enough to acquire. And the nice benefit of Karl Franz, unlike Elspeth and Geld, is the fact that you can guarantee this kind of confederation through regular play. You don't have to use like a confederate action in console command to do it. Well, I probably would recommend doing it just for the hell of it at the beginning of a campaign, but yeah, you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it because you can guarantee confederation, which is also something that helps elevate the dwarves on this list. Because like others, yeah, you either have to gauge in the annoyance of the regular confederation mechanic, or you have to use a console command. Whereas with Karl Franz, you can do it through just regular gameplay. Makes things a lot more awesome than they otherwise would be. And that would be all. Costin here signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more really awesome mod. I gotta say, there's some really good stuff over there that the Chinese, I believe it's Chinese, are making. There's a lot of fluff there's a lot of mods that are fluff. This is genuinely fucking awesome.